Hey family, welcome to How Love Works, where we talk about the principles for lasting love. Well, last time we had our conversation, we talked about a subject matter that had to do with the ways men have been changed in our country and in our culture. And most of it had to do with the sexual revolution that occurred back in the 60s and then subsequently forward. And now we're going with this pornography addiction and this pornography plaguing most men and women in our nation today. It's ironic to me that there seems to be such a disconnect in that arena, the arena of sex. But it also is astonishing to me that so many people are engulfed or entangled or enslaved by sex, whether it be males or females. So today I'm going to take off from that position, and now I'm going to give you another perspective on how women's lives have changed. But I'm not going to talk about it from the perspective of pornography. The issue is still around the issue of sex, but I'm going to talk about the 4 ways the pill has changed women's lives. 4 ways the pill, the little pink pill, has changed women's lives. Well, I'll give you a little background. First of all, I know you guys have heard of Margaret Sanger before, and she's the eugenist, the woman who really believes that there are certain groups of people who inherently are inferior. And as a result, these people need to be terminated because they're considered human weeds. This was the very same mindset that Hitler had, and he believed that the Aryan nation, they were a superior race of people, and so they took the writings from many of the eugenists that were located here in the United States who were interested in getting rid of the African American community and still are today under the name of Planned Parenthood and some of the other organizations that the federal government just loves to continue to compensate. It's interesting to me, both parties have no problem in making sure that these people continue to receive their funding. So I'm not really big on either of the parties, but that's neither here nor there. What we want to do now is I want to go into what are the effects that the pill has had and has changed, and all of the unintended consequences that has occurred as a result of this pill. One thing I will say before I get started is that people, when they created this hormonal contraceptive, they believed that it was going to be somewhat of a miracle pill, and it was going to benefit women in so many ways. Well, yes and no. It has benefited women in many ways, but as I mentioned earlier, there were a lot of unintended consequences that came as a result. The first one is the delay of marriage. The delay of marriage. See, the pill changed the total dynamics between men and women. Sex used to only be associated at one time with just marriage and lifetime commitment. However, the pill made it possible for men and women to engage in sexual intercourse without the fear of pregnancy. So once that fear had been alleviated by the pill, it was totally a game changer. It was game on after that. Remember, from my theological training, it's my understanding that men and women come into the world with a fallen nature. meaning they have a bent toward evil. They have a predisposition, if you will, toward the negative. So if you create, whether it be artificially, whether it be mechanically, whether it be by intent, omission, or commission, I don't care how it is derived, how it is originated. At the end of the day, because of the fallen nature of man, he or she will take full advantage of it to their peril in many cases. That's one of the problems that women have been now feeling since the 70s. I don't know about you, but in the 1960s, I know you don't know this stat, but in the 1960s, about 75 to 80% of all black women were married. But when the pill came out in 1961, divorces went up over 400%. Cohabitation went up over 600%. Everybody just went buck wild, just stupid crazy. Because now everybody had a synthetic form or a license to sex. That's just reality. That's just number one. Has changed the total landscape and the relational dynamic for women ever since. The second thing that happened as a result of the pill, the high supply sexual economy was created. The high supply sexual economy was created. As I said, when men and women prior to the pill in 1961 would relate to one another, sex was the price. I'm sorry, I got it backwards. Marriage was the price of admission. If you wanted to have sex, marriage was the high price. You had to pay the highest price, which was your life for good. That was the highest price. Now, because women have done something that the pill has given them the ability to do. Since women no longer have to concern themselves about early pregnancies, what doesn't have to occur now is, of course, as I said earlier, which is an unintended consequence, women can now pursue and even achieve economic empowerment. Now, that's not inherently evil. That's just a consequence. You can think that's good or bad. I'm not making that judgment. It's a consequence of that pill. Okay? Now, with that pill giving women the ability to pursue economic empowerment, once women achieve these landmarks that they pursued, it became no longer necessary for them to pursue marriage. So therefore, they kind of like flooded the market with sex. Women now see sex the same way men see sex. Now it's all about pleasure, meeting one's own pleasure. That's it. It's no longer tied to commitment or marriage. So now there's a high supply sexual economy. And it has been that way since the 70s. And it doesn't seem to me, based upon what I'm saying, that I don't see it changing anytime soon. There's more women than men. But there's also more women between the ages of 22 and 32 making more money than men right now. Yeah, you didn't know that, huh? There's more women in college. There's more women graduating college than men. Now, that's not women's fault. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying these are the consequences of the pill. This was unheard of before 1961 because it was illegal for women to take contraceptives before 1961. So These are the consequences of the pill. These things have changed the total dynamic. What you have on one side of the table, you have women who want to marry. Then on the other side, you have men who want to play. That's total change, the whole paradigm now. That's why we're having the problems we're having. Now, number 3, here are some things that you heard me talk about many times, but you never made the connection with the pill. Because the pill is a synthetic hormone, number 3, it masculinizes women. It masculinizes women. That's what the pill does. And it does several other things to women. One of the biggest things that the pill does that pornography does to men, it changes what I call the function, the cognition. It changes the total landscape of a woman's brain. Remember, it's a synthetic hormone. It's man-made. And all man-made drugs do 2 things. It either inhibits a process in the body or it enhances a process in the body. But it does it synthetically, meaning what it does to the body, it affects the body's self-regulating ability. Because a person like me who is a holistic minded thinking man, in other words, I have a holistic perspective about the body. I see the body this way, that the body is self-healing, that the body is self-regulating. It can regulate itself. You don't need to take drugs to artificially regulate processes in the body, meaning like regulating your blood pressure. Whatever's going on and whatever you're ingesting into your body, whatever that is, the body will, because it is intelligent, the body will regulate itself based upon the externals that the body is affected by. Make sense? But because the way our current medical system is designed, is basically designed to deal with regulating symptoms. Our system doesn't fix anything. It just regulates symptoms. Think about it this way, ladies. Think about it this way, brothers. If I was a mechanic and you brought your car to me because your engine light was on, and I looked at your car and I looked at that engine light, and then I went and popped the hood and I took that black cable off and I disconnected it, counted to 5, put that black cable back on, tighten it on, had you start the car up, boom, you look on your dashboard, you notice, hey, the engine light's off. Paid me $150. Now, did I fix the problem? I fixed the symptom. You don't see the light anymore. But the light was an indicator of a problem. Did I fix the problem? No. That's our medical system. How's it working for you? Doesn't. Okay? Now, these are the things that that pill has done to women in general. I think one of the other things that it does, and I'll move on to the 4th and last point, is that it increases the waistline of women. Remember, we're talking about a hormone. We're talking about a hormone, a synthetic hormone, a progesterone, and we're talking about an estrogen. So an estrogen and a progesterone, once you take these chemicals, ingest these chemicals in your body, and sadly, women have been given these things like candy since some of them have been 12 or 13 years old. And there are no studies, none, that talk about the effects on a female brain or a female's body who has been taking contraceptives, hormonal contraceptives, since age 12 up until 20, 21, 23, 24, and older. We have no idea. Unfortunately, one thing I do know, because I've said it to my own wife and to my own daughters, and I'll move on to my last point, and that is, if you take contraceptives, hormonal contraceptives, you can expect to experience a little bit more depression in your life. You can experience to be a little bit more ill, the likelihood of heart attacks and all these other different things, because again, these are hormones. These are synthetic hormones that's regulating your body, creating new processes, because these are hormones. Okay? So they're talking to other hormones in the bodies, and they're having an effect, good or bad, in the body. One thing I know that most of the pharmaceutical companies don't want to let out is that what hormonal contraceptives do to many women, and because I'm married with daughters and mother and sisters, I'm highly upset about this, that most women are not aware of this. Number one, these are some of the major side effects that women experience on these hormones. Number one, clots, blood clots. Get them all the time, special Depo-Provera, Yaz, and some of these other ones. They get strokes, blood clots in the brain. They get DVTs, blood clots in the legs. They get cardiovascular blood clots in the heart, end up having heart attacks. Okay? A lot of times, women will experience heart attacks as a result. They'll experience cancers, estrogen-based cancers, like breast cancer, liver cancer. These are the kinds of problems women are experiencing who've been taking these pills long term. But the doctors aren't going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that because that messes with their money. You get cancer, that's a big payday. Everybody wins except you and your family. All right, number 4, ladies, the lack of contentment. We're talking about synthetic hormones. The lack of contentment. What happens with the lack of contentment is that when women take these hormones over an extended period of time, not knowing it, you don't even know this, but those hormones, they change the kind of men that you are attracted to. Did you know that? These hormones change the kind of men that you are attracted to. And then what happens many times when women get off the pill to have babies, they look at these guys and, who are you? They're not even attracted to them anymore. Because the hormones, it's like a goggle. You know, they put on hormonal goggles, and while they're dating these guys, they're so attracted to these guys. And most of these guys are straight losers. That's some of the phenomena behind why women date bad boys, or why women date guys that are just straight duds or betas, or, you know, these guys are they're just worthless. But these women find these guys insatiably attractive. That's primarily because of the chemical. It's a chemical reaction. It's a chemical effect. And it causes problems. A lot of men have a difficult time even dealing with women that are taking the pill, because there's a chemical that are found in many of the hormonal contraceptives, and it's called ethinyl estradiol. Ethinyl estradiol. And what that does, it enhances a woman's jealousy. See, you thought it was just PMS or being black. Nah. These women are chemically induced to be moody. This has nothing to do with just PMS symptoms. They are chemically induced to have very difficult time being contented in their relationships. That's what these pills do. They have a difficult time even remaining satisfied with their mates or their boyfriend. And many times, because of the reactions of the pill, women eliminate their relationships with many men because of their lack of satisfaction. That's chemically induced. Now, this is the reality. This is where we live. This is blue pill area that a lot of women are not even aware of. They don't even know that the pill, among other things, have caused so many problems in their personal relationships. No one could have told me in 1961, because I was around at that time. Of course, I was a young boy. I was only 1 or 2 years old. But no one could have told me that a pill that was elevated and trumpeted to be able to be nirvana, it was going to solve all the problems for women, that it was going to do all these great things for women, would end up becoming really most women's Waterloo because of the unintended consequences. I hope you learned something, ladies. I hope you understand what you may or may not be experiencing, some of the moodiness and some of the I understand some women feel like their head's about to blow when they take some of these hormonal contraceptives. But I hope that you give it some thought. There's some alternatives that you might want to consider. And I strongly would suggest you at least consider other alternatives because of the depression and all the other anxiety issues that come with taking these synthetics. Because at the end of the day, that's all they are. I care about you. These things affect your relationships profoundly, and you don't even understand it. You need to put all the dots together. You need to work on yourself, and you need to think about all of the areas that are affecting your relationships. And who knew that all this would be as a result of one single pill? Hope you learned something. That's my time. I thank you for yours. God bless you. I'll catch you on the other side. Bye-bye.